You're fired. Clear out your locker. Samantha, a kind-hearted coffee shop manager, always stood up for what was right. But her simple act of defending a veteran and his service dog cost her the job she loved. However, her kindness didn't go unnoticed. Just an hour later, something happened that would change her life forever. Samantha, 35, managed Riverside Coffee, a cozy cafe near the Marine base. Unlike many her age chasing corporate careers, she loved her job. Her father, a former Marine, had instilled in her a deep respect for the military community. She understood the struggles veterans faced and wanted to create a welcoming space for them. She had started as a barista 6 years ago when Old Joe still owned the place. Her mother never understood why she chose this path. "You have a business degree. You could be making 6 figures in the city," she would say. But money wasn't everything to Samantha. She had seen firsthand how the cafe had helped her father transition back to civilian life. A familiar place, friendly faces. Sometimes that made all the difference. The town loved Riverside Coffee because of Samantha. She knew her regulars by name, remembered their stories, and even kept a notebook with their usual orders and family details. She paid special attention to veterans with service dogs, knowing how much they relied on them. Her father had struggled with PTSD, and she often thought, if only service dogs had been common back then. Every Wednesday, she hosted Veterans Coffee Hour. It started with just 4 people but grew into a support group of over 20 veterans who shared stories and camaraderie. A wall behind the counter displayed photos of service members who visited the shop, a tribute to those who served. One of her regulars was James, a veteran who had been coming in for 2 years with his service dog, Max. When he first started visiting, he could barely speak his order, flinching at the smallest noise. Max, always at his side, helped keep him calm. But over time, with Samantha's kindness and Max's support, James began to open up. Everything was going well, until the day the new health inspector arrived. Mr. Thompson was notorious for being strict. That month alone, he had already shut down 3 businesses. He wasn't interested in understanding the community, just enforcing rules. That morning, James walked in with Max as usual. The large German shepherd, wearing his service vest, stayed close to James, doing his job. But the moment Mr. Thompson saw the dog, his face turned red with anger. "You can't have dogs in here," he barked, startling several customers. "It's a health code violation. This establishment will be shut down immediately." Samantha saw James tense, trembling the way her father used to when overwhelmed. Without hesitation, she stepped forward. "Sir," she said calmly, "Max is a registered service dog. The ADA laws clearly state that service animals must be allowed in food establishments." "I don't care about any laws," Mr. Thompson snapped. "Either the dog leaves, or I'm shutting this place down." The district manager, who had arrived to oversee the inspection, looked absolutely horrified. "Samantha, apologize right now," he demanded, his face flushed with anger. But Samantha stood her ground, her chin lifted defiantly. "I won't apologize for following federal law," she stated firmly. "My father was a Marine, and he taught me that standing up for what's right matters more than keeping a job." The district manager's lips curled into a sneer. "Then you don't have a job anymore," he spat. "You're fired. Clear out your locker." For a brief moment, silence hung heavy in the air. Samantha felt the words like a physical blow, knocking the breath from her lungs. 6 years. 6 years of early mornings, late nights, memorizing every regular's order, running the shop like it was her own. And just like that, gone. Fired for standing up for a veteran and his service dog. Her gut twisted as the reality sank in. Rent was due next week. She had no savings, no backup plan, no safety net to break her fall. Swallowing the lump in her throat, she yanked off her apron and stormed into the back to collect her things. Then she heard it. A low rumble. Then another. And another. The sound of engines. many of them. The ground almost trembled beneath the heavy, synchronized purring of motorcycles and trucks. Frowning, Samantha clutched her bag and walked toward the door. What she saw made her freeze in place. The parking lot was full of Marines. Men and women, dressed in uniform, standing in formation. Their faces were solemn, their stances firm. And leading them, walking straight toward the entrance, was Colonel James Parker, his expression unreadable. What Samantha didn't know was that someone had recorded the entire incident. A customer in line, whose spouse was the commander at the Marine Corps base, had captured the moment on video. Within minutes, it had spread like wildfire through the base. The response had been swift, and now the Marines had arrived to make their stance clear. Colonel Parker walked right up to Mr. Thompson, the coffee shop's owner, and the district manager. His voice, though calm, carried the weight of authority. "Gentlemen," he said, his eyes locking onto theirs, "I believe we need to have a discussion about how we treat our veterans." As it turned out, James Parker wasn't just any veteran. He was a Silver Star recipient, recognized for his valor in combat. And Max, the service dog at the center of the controversy, wasn't just any service animal. He had been trained through a specialized Marine Corps program designed to support veterans with PTSD, a program that was Colonel Parker's personal initiative. One phone call was all it took. The colonel reached out to the state health department, and within hours, Mr. Thompson found himself reassigned to another district. As for the district manager, he was sent for immediate retraining on service dog regulations and federal disability laws. But the Marines weren't done yet. Colonel Parker turned to Samantha. "Miss Mitchell," he said, his tone softer now. "We've been looking for someone to head our new veteran outreach program at the base. Someone who understands customer service, but more importantly, understands the value of standing up for what's right. If you're interested, the job is yours." Samantha was speechless. She had spent the last 6 years pouring her heart into a job that had tossed her aside without a second thought. And yet, because she had chosen integrity over comfort, something better had found her. Word of what happened spread quickly, not just through the base, but across military communities nationwide. The coffee shop's corporate office was flooded with backlash. In an effort to repair the damage, they not only issued a public apology but also launched a new initiative to support service dog training for veterans. And they knew exactly who to put in charge: Samantha. Last Wednesday, Samantha stood in the community room at the base, watching proudly as James Parker spoke during the morning coffee hour. At first, his voice was shaky, but as Max pressed against his leg, offering silent support, James's words grew steadier. He shared stories of his first deployment, memories he had once been unable to talk about. The other veterans in the room nodded in quiet understanding. They had all been there. An older Marine sitting next to him reached over and placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "Welcome home, brother," he said softly. Samantha had to wipe her eyes as she refilled their coffee cups. This was why she loved her job. Today, Samantha oversees both the Veteran Outreach Program and the Service Dog Initiative. The coffee shop that once turned away a veteran is now a model of inclusion, complete with a special area for service animals and their handlers. James and Max still visit every morning, but now they're joined by dozens of other veterans and their service dogs. Behind the counter, a wall of photos has been carefully arranged. Each veteran's picture is displayed alongside a photo of their service dog. In the very center, Samantha has placed a framed picture of her father, beneath a sign that reads, "All who served welcome, 2 legs or 4. And as for the district manager who fired her, he now works alongside Samantha, helping train businesses on how to properly accommodate service dogs. Sometimes, life's biggest lessons come from our biggest mistakes. Her father had always told her, doing the right thing isn't always easy. That day, she had proven him right. But she had also proven something else. When you stand up for the right people will stand up for you.